In this video, I'm going to go over how to do some basic animating based off of a imported Photoshop document. So this is going to be very similar to working with an Illustrator file, but of course, we're probably creating whatever we made in Photoshop as a bitmap out of pixels versus Illustrator using vectors. But again, we want to have everything right on its own layer. So I have a cowboy arm that I'm going to wave a little bit. I have Elvis and his left leg and right leg, and a light ray and a background. Now, the right leg and left leg are always going to refer to the characters right and left. So it's not us looking at the screen, it's the actual characters right and left. So this is the right leg, and this is the left leg. In the case of the cowboy, we don't have to worry about it because there's only one arm, but this would be his right arm. So I have everything I need here. Again, I can twirl open these carrots to transform them as needed. Now, I don't need to do that to the cowboy because the cowboy is going to remain where he is, but I am going to open up the cowboy arm because I do want to rotate that. And in fact, I've already clicked the stopwatch, so I have one rotation piece there, but I'm going to go ahead and actually remove that and start over because maybe I'm going to want to start with the arm already rotated just a little bit. And this is because I can't rotate it too much because then it'll, become obvious that it's separate, but I can rotate it a little bit. And actually it turns out in this case that as I rotate it, my anchor point right here is pretty much where I want it. So let me just go ahead and turn the rotation back to 0. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll into, zoom into that area there, pressing the spacebar to get my pan. And maybe I do want to move this just a little bit so it's a little bit closer to the elbow there. So it's going to rotate just from that point. Now that I'm zoomed in here, I'm going to have a better view of my rotation. So let me just rotate a little bit that way. And then I'm going to go ahead and click the stopwatch. Move this scrubber a little bit and then rotate. I'm rotating it I don't have like a huge distance to rotate it because then it very clearly becomes disconnected. But I can keep going back and forth just a little bit. Right, so then when I go to play, I have a little wave. And to continue this wave, right, I could keep going back and forth, but I can also simply copy my keyframe. So if I copy these two keyframes here by selecting both of them, I'm holding the Shift key. I can then press Command and C to copy, move my scrubber along, press Command and V to paste, and now I have it going back and forth, and now I have 4, so I can go ahead and copy 4, copy, and paste. And now I have 8, so I can copy and paste 8. So I can very quickly do that. Now, you can also use expressions, which is a little bit of code, to make this just keep looping. And that's probably what I would do once I got a hang of keyframes, because it's a very simple expression called loop out, but we'll get into expressions later. But so, for about the first 10 seconds, I have the cowboy wave happening. And let me get this here. Right, so now we can kind of see it here. We got a little wave happening there. And then I'm going to go ahead and just move left to right. The next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to have this light beam move back and forth. So I'm going to go ahead and twirl this open and twirl the transform controls open. And this I'm going to rotate back and forth. So I'm going to want to move this anchor point again. I'm going to want to move it down near the base. And I might choose to also just have it rotate from the bottom of the screen. But here I'm going to go a little bit below so that now when I rotate, it'll rotate from this point. So I'm going to also start the rotation here, stopwatch it, and then we'll just say at 4 seconds we'll want to be all the way across. And then I'm going to copy this keyframe, and at 8 seconds we're going to want to go back there. So now we have over the course of 8 seconds, the light going back and forth. And this would be very simple to, if we wanted to have more of these, right? I'm going to twirl this back up. I could go ahead and just click on the layer and then copy and paste the layer, and then I will get on my regular move tool and I can move it a little bit, and then I should have 2 lights that are moving at the same time. Now I probably want to have them moving at different spaces, and of course the second one has been cut off, so I'm going to want to go ahead and reposition it just a little bit so that it is not going to get cut off. And so now I have kind of a double light happening. Okay. Which I don't really like, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that second one, but that's something you can do. And then I'm going to move over to Elvis, and Elvis has 3 layers I'm concerned about. To make this a little bit easier, I'm going to close the cowboy up and open up Elvis, left leg and right leg. Now in this case, I'm not moving Elvis himself, so it's not going to matter too much. But if I wanted to move Elvis, have him walk, I would need to be a little bit more careful about this. But right now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to have these legs rotate a little bit. So again, if I want to go to the left leg first, I'm going to need to move this anchor point to where the leg is going to rotate from, which in this case is the hip. So I need to move that anchor point there, and then I'm going to go to the right leg and move the right leg anchor point to the right hip. So it's going to rotate from the right spot. And now I'm just going to do some slight rotation. So maybe the right leg at the beginning is going to be where it is, and then I'm going to do a little rotation. And the little rotation is it's going to kind of kick out this way. And as that is kicking out, let me go to the left leg, open up the transform controls. And maybe as that is kicking out, my rotation on the left leg is going to also move in the same direction. Right, so now I have a kind of sway happening. Right, and maybe if I'm just doing the sway, I don't actually need to have the 2 legs as each individual layer, but we'll just go ahead and do this. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy these 2 keyframes, copy, paste, and then I'm going to copy these keyframes and copy and go back here and paste. Paste. So now I kind of have the legs swaying a little bit back and forth, and that could continue. And that's how we're going to begin to edit in After Effects from a Photoshop file.